This is why control systems, the way you see yourself, and guys, this isn't about just how government works or how you get your job or relationships like that. It's the matrix. It's how you render your body or your experience here. I don't know how clear that is, but you're a hologram here. You're not as solid as you think. This is what I'm talking about. Your genetic makeup will change for you. Say like 50 years down the line, people look back and, if they had, say, the technology, hopefully by then, they look at, say, the humans before and the humans after this, and they go, shit, after they've evolved into it, they go, damn, their genetic structure has changed. Again, Human 8.0. If you didn't listen to the podcast, it's Human 8.0. I forgot which podcast it is, but just look for Human 8.0. That's the new version of human coming through. So it's really cool. And many people who are on XI train were most likely the leaders. All right, guys. Again, thanks. I'm Ra. I'm Rio. This isn't, a major production. There's a lot of talking about that. I am Ra. I put a post out there, because, some people, I look at other motivational speakers and other, people at the, they're very popular, and they've got the classiest production, and I love it, and it's so fantastic. I just love it. But their content is like kindergarten level. Again, no offense, it's good, but it's not the level of, it's not XI level. Okay? So it's just a little, I bring you great content that actually, say, dramatically changes your life, like reprogramming, okay? Something that might have taken you decades, no matter who you work with, no matter what motivational, the most famous motivational speaker out there, you come to me and, within a very short time, within a couple sessions, you change dramatically. Right? So again, it's not really, say, the polished, because they need, perfect production to keep, their audience, entangled or entrained with them. And that's another thing too, is that over time, we want to become more and more and more and more precise, right? Everything has to be in perfection. Look at all the images. People spend hours on their images trying to make it perfect, but then if they spend that much time on their lives, they wouldn't have to spend hours, trying to have an excuse or trying to cover up the imperfection that they are. So this is me. This is Ra. Another thing I'd like to do, another thing that I love about this too is like, if I get an idea that's beneficial for you, back in the day, where, you had an aha moment, it was this grand time, and what did you do? You wrote it on a freaking napkin. You didn't take it to some production house and go, hey, can you do this? Can you polish it up? Can you make it look good and all that stuff? No, you didn't. You shared it with your closest friends on a freaking napkin. It's like, God, I've got this fantastic idea, solution. It could change humanity. And I just want to share it with you with that rawness, because it's the rawness, not necessarily, say, even what I share with you, but it's the rawness of the frequency that I share with you. So it might not be the most, say, perfect production, although, I try to do my best. I demand the most out of my team because they take the time. That's what I pay them for. So yes, the graphics that we do and all that, they're top notch. They're actually artwork quality, from what I see. So they're really fantastic. But like when it comes to my stuff, again, it's just that rawness that I want you to feel, because it's frequencies. Everything is a frequency, especially when I generate them, because many of you, like you read, and you can tell, you guys are so brilliant. You guys can tell, when I write something on the newsletter, or when somebody says, or when somebody writes it and then puts my name on it. Okay? Again, it's that essence, that frequency, right? So, and more importantly, if I get a new idea, I just take a selfie, talk about it, and put it on there, right? Again, it's not the best, but what happens is that creative aspect of it gets, I don't want to say it gets recorded into, say that, it's not in the system, it's not in the, the thing of the computer, the memory of the computer, okay? It's not in the audio, it's not in the video. it takes you back to the time, just like the way the 21 days works, right? If you listen to the recordings, it's just as powerful as you being here. But the important thing is that it takes you back to the time where I generated those frequencies, which is really cool. So if I'm in, say, this creative mode, and that's why I like to do it right on the fly, I don't prepare for anything, because preparing, you have to consciously think, obviously I have a direction that I go through, but I speak from the heart. So it's not to say the most perfect, speech. I don't care. You, even those who are new, you most likely would change more dramatically out of what I said, even if you didn't get what I said at all. Your life would change just by listening to that again. Right? And then if you listen to it a couple times, for those people who go, this guy's really fucked up, he doesn't know what he's talking about, just listen to it a couple more times and then you'll get it. Okay? The reason why you might say I'm all over the place or I'm messed up, I don't know what I'm talking about, is because you're operating most likely at that lower, the base level, so you don't see it from a different perspective. But again, listen to it 3-4 times, especially if you're new. You'll go, oh shit, that's right. That is what's happening. You get to see the grander picture, not this, little, peak that you're looking at. Your visual spectrum is only a sliver of what you see. Everything else you don't see, you don't have, say, the capabilities. With XI, it gives you the capabilities to see a broader range so you can make better solutions. And the 21 days is part of that. Okay. Before I talk about the 21 days, I want to talk about what the coronavirus means to XI students. Okay. So we'll talk about that. So what does the coronavirus wave mean to XI students? So I talked a little bit about that. And I just want to talk about XI or exponential intelligence again. It's the body of knowledge that I've tapped into. It's a much higher consciousness. That consciousness or that knowledge or that handbook, what do we just call it? A handbook for how this realm works, or a handbook on, it's not just about how humans work or how, it's about, say, how this consciousness works, how space-time works, how that 24-hour clock works. Okay? If you understand this, like the laws of physics, if you understand the laws of physics, you're pretty safe, right? Say, like, you understand how ice works. That makes sense to you, right? It's slippery. So if you understood it, right? If you were the first, if you have never seen ice or snow before, and then it's like, whoa, right? Like you do in Minnesota here all the time. Or say, for example, with drivers who come in here and they drive and they've never seen ice and snow before. They're horrendous. They don't know how to drive. They don't know how to handle it, right? For people who are in Minnesota, they drive through 3-4 feet of snow and they're fine. So the same thing with XI, right? It gives you the solutions on how to, say, go through this life in a more positive, enlightened way. So I want to talk about the XI or the coronavirus and what that means to XI followers. And I don't want to call it XI followers. That's the key. So let's just talk about that before we get into the coronavirus deal. So XI followers, for lack of a better word, even writing it down, it doesn't feel right. So because XI is not about following. If you look at any, religion, no matter what it is, or if you look any, say, spiritual, or if you look any, science, right, quantum physics or anything, right, usually people follow a concept or an idea or a belief system, right? They're here, they're following that. So it's always like, going for it. So they're always behind the consciousness or the knowledge. Okay? XI is not about that. And that's why it's so impactful. XI is actually about, say, becoming a leader in it. So XI is about, it's about leadership. And it's not about leading other people. It's about leading yourself to be the best possible you. Okay? So for you to advance in XI, You can't just know it. It's not a state of knowing. It's a state of being, and that's why it's so functional or it's so transformational. Okay? You can't elevate yourself to the next level. So there's no corruption. So imagine a consciousness that I talked about, right? Layer in level 2. There's no corruption. So that's what it means to the XI. So it's a little bit of both. There's no corruption. There's no putting the blinders over people and then taking advantage of them. Because if you are in that consciousness, you're not going to be, say, victimized. You would have to be strong enough to awaken and sustain yourself. So there's no victim roles. There's nobody there to protect you. Okay? You would have to protect yourself. You would would have to be sustainable. You would have to be independent of your own. That doesn't mean people don't help you. That doesn't mean you have a spouse that doesn't support you or anything like that. Yes, those are, but it doesn't mean that you have to sell yourself, for example, for, say, that spouse to support you like many of you women do back in the day, right? So just imagine just that aspect, just on how relationships work between men and women in marriage overall, that has to change dramatically. Right? Because most women that get into relationships, they stay in it because of security reasons, financial security, not about love or anything like that. Unfortunately, it's sad to say, but I'm just reading it. I'm just reading the audience, whether you're on Seminar or on Instagram. Sad, isn't it? Right? Imagine, and then you have kids. Imagine what you do to your kids. Right? You're unhappy. You blame the kids, or you're not happy with the kids, and then they create their kids, or they get married, and then they have kids of their own, and it perpetuates, and it's just a shit show. No offense, but it literally is. So all those things at the new consciousness, it can't exist. It just can't exist. If you expect it to exist, you get kicked out. That's the cool thing. There's no club that you connect with. There's no like, well, I know so and so, and he's going to get me into this space. It doesn't work that way. There's no buying your way in. There's no what are these lobbyists in the government, right? They lobby for their product, or a belief system, or their favorite person to for president and so on. There's nothing, because you have to stand up. Say the president will have to stand up at their own merits. It's not about money. It's not about who you know anymore. Right? It's about how grand, how say ascended you are. Right? And at that level, the ascension, you start to realize, even at the lower level of consciousness that we're coming into, it's much higher than where we've been. Okay? The new infrastructure is much higher, but again, it's just the beginning phase. Like many of you XIers, it's just that beginning phase. As you get into it, you go, "Holy shit, this is so cool!" Once you understand, say, how to know the ropes on the system, it's an amazing experience, right? So at that level, what happens is that there's no control. Right? You don't have to control people. You don't have to distort people. You don't have to say take away anything from them to say control. There's nothing like that at all. At the higher consciousness that you're in, now imagine if the president or people, say, I don't know, men who hold high places or people who hold high places operated from that consciousness. A consciousness that, hey, if I produce highly evolved citizens, would I have to spend billions of dollars a day trying to protect my country? You wouldn't. You wouldn't have to, say, rape other countries or anything like that. You would be sustainable. People would want to join who you are. It's been done before, maybe once, right? By an individual. You might want to look him up. Cyrus the Great. The closest thing to him. So this goes way beyond that, though. So imagine a society like that. That's what we're coming into. So for the XIers, imagine the possibilities for you. Imagine many of you are getting to that space already where you are becoming the leaders. People are starting to follow you. You're going, boss, I don't know what to do. People are asking me questions. People are just want to hang out with me. You know, my family that didn't like me or whatever, now they're waking up and they're coming towards me. And do you notice that you're not being burdened by them? They're actually honoring your space, and they're just honorably going, hey, I want to awaken to the level. I want to know what you did. Right? So it's a really fantastic responsibility, because if you start helping people in this fashion, it'll help you ascend higher, and it doesn't destroy you. So it's a whole different system on, say, helping people, taking care of people. It's a whole different system. And in this system, it perpetuates itself. It's a self-perpetuation machine. In the old system that's collapsing, it's like we need more people to run the system, hence more, government has to tax more. You have to spend more. The price of everything has to, say, get more expensive. It's not because labor is more expensive. It's because the creation of money, the way they do it, that becomes expensive. That makes sense. Again, that's another. Just listen, just absorb what I say. If you don't understand it, there's a lot of research out there. But again, that's a whole another seminar that you can ask me questions about on how money works and why money is failing. Okay? So those XIers, again, they're going to be on top of the ball. They're going to transition. So instead of going down under into that tunnel, just like a toilet bowl, when you flush it, you go under. Nope. You're going to be rising. You're not even in the toilet. You're just rising above, going to be riding the next wave, transitioning into the next level of consciousness on, say, money situations, on relationship situations, on health systems. Many of you, for example, as obviously relationships and money takes a little longer, but say your health, look how fast you've transitioned, or how fast you've lost the weight, you've gotten healthier, you've gained weight, you're not aging, you're reverse aging, you're you don't have the same identity or even the same look as your parent. That's the new consciousness. Those distorted patterns, even right down to your physical body shape, they can't exist. Especially in America, say one of the most wealthiest countries. It's lost its place, even on that. But one of the, say, the unhealthiest citizens, you're starting to move away from that if you're in the U.S. So that's what we can all look for at the awakened consciousness. XI just helps you to do it much faster rather than going through and trying to learn on it on your own. I've already helped you with a handbook. So and it's not, this isn't psychology, by the way. This isn't, this isn't anything close to that. Basically, it's a reprogramming. It literally is a reprogramming. I can't stress that enough. People go, well, how does that work? How can you do that? At the level, and we all have these abilities, by the way. Right? I've just managed to, say, excel at it. So I would say I'm the lead programmer in XI. I'm an XI programmer, the Exponential Intelligence. And if everybody was, say, a programmer, imagine that. Everybody would be working on each other, programming them, just like an AI computer. It learns from other people's, say, mistakes and finds the most efficient way. Now that we're on the right track, imagine that. Everybody's reprogramming each other for each other's benefit, not like Facebook or Google or anything that just, uses all your data to destroy you and control you and manipulate you. Nothing like that. Okay? XI is about, yeah, I know your data. I mean, for example, I know your data. I know you more than you do. I can access your files. I can access anybody's files. That's the level, say, of love, honor, or trust that I have. Because in this new consciousness, it's not going, oh yeah, I have trust, or I'm going to use somebody else's passwords. There's none of that bullshit. You are, say your password. You are the access level. There's no fingerprint, identical fingerprints. There's no, using somebody's identity theft or anything like that. None of that works here. It's you. It's your frequency signature that allows you to say access that consciousness, access wealth, access whatever that's here. Okay, that's another subject that we could talk about. And this is why. Let's just talk about it now for a minute, just to open you up to questions, and then again send those questions to Masei, MASEI @masajai.com. So what I'm talking about is, everybody has this issue with, Facebook or government or now even Tesla, accessing your data. It's the most sought after resource. It's worth more than gold or any of the other precious metals. Imagine that. So what that means is that people are starting to realize that the consciousness, okay, not physical possessions here, your consciousness, not your life, but your consciousness is worth more than the physical possession. That's that meaning. That's that parallel meaning about that, right? So unfortunately, as that transparency comes through, more and more people like me, again, honorable people, somebody that's, because again, there's so many of you out there. I've worked on 100,000 people or more, and like people just like, trust me, you guys tell me the most deepest, darkest secrets that you've never shared with anybody. Right? You feel that comfortable with me because I'm not going to use or distort or sell your data. It's not worth it to me because what I'm seeking or what's beneficial for me, it's beneficial for you, is ascending higher. I don't need your data to control you. I just have you access, say, your highest level, your highest potential. I get what I need and more. You get what you need and more. Again, it's not I have more, you have less. The more we all awaken, that's why we work together, right? The more we all awaken, kind of like blockchain. Blockchain is an invention from that higher consciousness, right? Everybody has access to everybody else's records. There's no one main guy, right? There's no one central banker. Everybody has access to all the files, and nobody can, cheat the records, cheat the file system, dump more money here and, just make up money and whatever they do in the banking system. You can't do that here. The consciousness demands that everything be, say, transparent. So what happens though, unfortunately, as, say, this consciousness is coming in, say the elites or the, I don't know, I want to say I call it stupid intelligence, for lack of a better word. It literally is stupid intelligence, okay? They're very intelligent, they're very intuitive, but they run from a fear place. Simple as that. So the higher levels up, it's like, shit, we need to know more about our citizens so we can control them, so we can save. But then, unfortunately, it doesn't keep you safe. They just control you more, and then they get more and more controlling, right? Because they're insecure. They don't know what I just talked about. That's why I call it stupid intelligence. So that's why it's like, shit, Google has to know everything about you. That's why they have Alexa and Siri and, again, Tesla, you ride their cars, shit, they're collecting all sorts of data on you. So, and that's why Tesla's, again, skyrocketing. So it's a good stock to buy, by the way, as it, say, goes up. Just because they're selling your data, might as well profit from it. They are. That's a side note, by the way. And I'm not a financial analyst, but that's what I'm doing. So in the new consciousness, what they're missing is that, hey guys, the reason why you have access in this physical realm to people's consciousness or people's habits and behavior patterns is not to control them, is not to manipulate them, is not to sell them, more garbage so you can make, more profits. They missed the boat on why this consciousness is coming up. That's why it has to fall apart. Layer after layer after layer. For example, I was talking about, say, the cell phone technology, internet. That makes sense to you? Back in the 80s, that was a huge wave that came through. What did humans do to it? or with it. The consciousness, that intelligence that came through, right? It could have been, say, an advanced technological or evolutionary process for humans to ascend higher to the level of technology and use that technology, to their greater benefit, to aid you, to get more intelligent, to get more intuitive, to do, again, more grander things, bigger things. But we didn't. We got dumber. And then, the way the government systems are, it's like, no, you're too dumb. We'll just take care of everything for you. Now look what's happened. Citizens, they're so weak, they have to be told to wash their hands. I mean, literally, they have to be told to wash their hands, right? Otherwise, this thing is going to spread. They have to be told the most simplest things. So what they thought was a control system now is going to burden the hell out of them. And then they're going to go, shit, we got to get rid of these people. They're too stupid. Well, you're the ones that made them, right? So that's the problem. No offense. Right. So we all have to wake up. And then from the flip side, it's like, why did you guys fall asleep anyway? Why did you allow somebody else to control you, control your life? It's not the government, your boss, your spouse, your parents, and so on and so on. I'm not blaming you, but I'm just telling you to wake up and start to control your life, right? So you can't blame anybody, by the way, at the next consciousness. You are responsible for the level that you ascend to. There's no blame. It just is what it is, okay? It's the bottom line. There's no excuses. You can't go to that. It's like, well, I can't get into this next consciousness. And it's like, well, why not? There's no why not. Literally, it's just this level. You say a certain time comes, say like, the March 19th or spring equinox or the 21st of March. That time came, it literally like cut the people off that goes into the next consciousness. Think about it that way, okay? Is there room if you can awaken and go into that space? Yes, there's always room for you if you awaken, right? That's the key. If you awaken the next, say, the minute but it gets, over time, it gets harder and harder and harder and harder. Say you awaken like 5 years from now. Okay? If you're still around, you awaken 5 years from now. It's like, now I get it. So now you have to swim all the way back. So again, the quicker you awaken, the easier it is to ascend to that higher level. Okay? There's really no cutoff point. But again, the further you are from that cutoff point, that consciousness, say, level, the harder it is to get into it. Just like anything. It just is. Okay? Let's see, what other systems are there? So imagine, that's where, say, technology was misappropriately used because we didn't know how to do it. Open communication. Most people go, well, we want our personal data, secure. We want to be control of that, the data. We don't want to be used for anything like this. But like I said, what if there was a system that was honorable, say like me? I have, like I said, I have access to all your data, more so than Google or anything like that. But again, the reason why it's like I have access to it because again, you can trust me on it, or you've trusted me on it. Either way, and say that I did something corrupt, I would literally like lose my abilities. I couldn't access those levels. That's how. Again, it's a self-protecting mechanism for you. Because it's all about truth. It's not about, well, they won't find out. It doesn't matter. The operating system that you run on, say you do something incongruent, you get knocked out. Simple as that. It's not like, well, it's Judgment Day or whatever it is. No, you do something incongruent, you mess up, you get knocked down. Simple as that. And you have a chance to try again, but too many chances, you just get locked out. Simple as that. Okay? So why would anybody, want to do that? So it doesn't make sense. The treasures that are beyond this reality is worth more than anything here. And like I said, that's why personal data is getting so expensive for you. Okay? They might think it's, well, we have access to it because we can sell you more products. It's not about that. It's just because they're saying that it's the consciousness that they can access, but they're getting it all wrong. And that's why they're manipulating you so badly. So